This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is President and CEO of East West Petroleum, Mr. David Sidoo. David, long time no hear. How have you been?
I've been really busy, Gerardo, trying to figure out how to restructure some of the companies that I'm involved in and see what's hot out there in the marketplace right now and in areas where we can raise some capital and look at some, company builders out there. And I was looking quite seriously the last 6 to 7 months, looking at several deals for East West, and we landed on a project that I think is really good and is going to give a lot of value to shareholders here in the short term.
Let's talk about the headline. The headline reads, East West Petroleum announces corporate restructuring and letter of intent to acquire Juva Life.
Correct.
Can you explain the deal for me, Dave?
Sure. The East West shareholders will continue to retain their pro rata shares in East West Inc., which will be spun off with the oil and gas assets and become a privately held company with the shareholders currently that own East West. So there will remain 89.5 million shares will remain in a private company, Gerardo, with the New Zealand assets and the Romanian assets in them. And we're going to spin out $4 million of cash into a new co, which is going to be called Juva, and each East West shareholder will get 1 share for every 10 shares of East West that they own in the new corporation. That will take about 60 to 90 days for the transaction to complete, so the stock will be halted for 90 days and come back to trade in October. And Juva is a cannabis company that's in three areas of the cannabis business and that are very important, and a strong management team that's built companies before in this space. And it's in a large market in the United States and California, which is all the check boxes it checked off for me was a management team that's done it before, the sector that's quite hot right now, and 3 different verticals in one company. If you look at a lot of cannabis companies out there, they're either a grower, Gerardo, they're either a processor, they either have dispensaries, or they either do medical, scientific work and medical research in cannabis. Juva has all 3 aspects, and they're going to raise another $7.5 million at 35 cents into Juva Labs. That's the private company. I'm going to encourage any East West shareholders, if they want to participate in that. It's a private company that will be vended into the Pubco, and it'll be public in sometime in October. I think with the assets they have, I believe the valuation will be quite high compared to some other companies out there. So what you'll end up with, you'll retain all your shares of East West in the private co plus all the oil and gas assets, and you'll get 1 share for every 10 of the new company. And I believe that new company will be financed. The deal is that they have to raise another $7.5 million at 35 cents. So they'll have $11.5 million in the bank, with 90 million shares outstanding in the new entity called Juva, and 3 different verticals. They'll have the growing facility that they have in California, in Stockton. They'll have a dispensary that's doing about $2.5 to $3 million in revenue right now, and they'll have they have a lab that actually studies and researches this with top-notch people in the industry. Some of them have been. I've sent you a deck so you can take a look at them, Gerardo, and see what type of people they are from Stanford and Berkeley. Just brilliant guys around this whole cannabis space. So all 3 of those entities will be in the new Juva company. So basically, we're staying the same as far as EW. We're just going to be private. Now, what I'm going to do with those assets, and we're going to try and monetize those assets that we have in Romania and in New Zealand, to see if we can, garner some cash from those. If we can't, we'll continue to fund those privately and see how Niche does in their drill program here in August and September, and how the water flood works at TAG. But what I would like to do is create $10 to $15 million in cash in that private co and potentially dividend that cash out to the shareholders or do another deal.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a lot of moving parts. I'd love to have you back on, David, as the deal progresses and you get closer to actually closing on this, because I know things change when you have this many moving parts sometimes. And I'd love for you to be able to come back and just explain the progress here in the next month or two, if that works.
No, that's perfect. But just in simplicity forms is we're going to all retain our shares of East West Incorporated and the oil and gas assets, and we're going to get a bonus share in this new company that's going to be public in October. That's as simple as I can explain it right now.
Perfect. David, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Gerardo, you too.